Hey everyone. I was going to film on my webcam on my computer so I could just be here in the kitchen where I usually write, but my computer keeps shutting down when I try to use it. So I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, I'm using my iPad instead because I'm still even in my pajamas because I just don't feel like changing. And I totally meant to do a NaNoWriMo update video yesterday, but I didn't have time. So here we go, we're doing it today. I fell a little bit behind. I'm maybe about 2 or 3 thousand words behind, but I'm kind of just resigning to the fact that I'm just gonna end up behind at least a little bit, and then I just need a few days to catch up because like once I actually get the chance to really sit down and write, I write like 3 or 4 thousand words at least, and so I'm not super worried about being behind in my word count as long as it's not like 10,000 words or something. And yeah, and I'm gearing up to write this really intense scene, and I'm kind of dreading it, kind of looking forward to it. Like, I'm really wanting to write it because it's been in my head for a while, and I'm really wanting to get it on the page, and it's one of the turning points in my novel. But I'm also kind of dreading it because it's going to be intense and kind of depressing. And last week I had to write a scene that was kind of intense and kind of depressing, and it bummed me out the rest of the day. But in a way, that's kind of a good thing because it means that I'm really emotionally invested in my story and my characters and what happens to them. And when I wrote that scene, like a lot of my emotions went into it. It took me a long time to write it, but then when I sent it to a friend to read, she was like, I can tell you really cared about this scene. I can tell you really focused on it and worked on it because it was so good. And it bummed her out too, but that was the effect that I was wanting. And I think that's just kind of what I'm hoping for you guys as you're writing is that whatever you're writing, you're emotionally invested in it. Because I remember last year I was working on this one novel and I loved the idea of it and stuff, but the reality just wasn't that great. And I just remember I really missed the characters and the world that I'm writing about now. And it showed me that this is what I should be doing. This is the project I need to be working on. And so I spent all of last year finishing up the first draft of the first novel in that series. And then now this year I'm writing the sequel. And I just think when you really love what you're writing, even though there are days it's really hard and you want to throw your computer against the wall, if you really, really love what you're writing, it's just gonna make NaNoWriMo and just whatever time you're writing so much better. It makes me think of when I was at NodeCon and we were at this writing session, and someone had asked the authors, like, oh, what do you do when there's a person or a thing you really want to fit into your story, but they're just not fitting, and you're trying to shove them in there, and it just isn't working? And the authors, essentially, they're kind of like, well, you need to evaluate why you want them in the story so bad. And if they aren't fitting, but you really want them in there, then that's really what you should be writing about. Take that thing or that person that isn't fitting and do their own story, and maybe that's really what you should be working on. And it just kind of brings home the idea that you really need to care about what you're doing and what you're writing, even if you have to write an intense scene and it's gonna bum you out sometimes, or because there's also going to be times when you're writing a scene that's great and it's happy and you're going to be really excited about it too. And yeah, so anyway, that's my week 3 thoughts as I'm getting ready to write this morning. And I hope things are going well for you. And anyway, let me know how you're doing down in the comments below. Tell me your feelings about your story. Are you loving it? Are you hating it? What's working? What's not working? What's been the best moment? What's been the worst moment? I just want to hear about your story. And I'll see you next week. Bye.